Hi, I'm Luna.
Hey, I'm Angel Rose, and on this week's episode of the Girls Room podcast, we're talking everything weddings. Stay tuned for new traditions and new customs for weddings.
Question one, Angel. Will marriage traditions stand the test of time?
I believe so. I believe so. And the reason why I do is because now that new traditions are happening, a lot of brides are looking to modernize their weddings. And we're talking about, and I've written this down, more brides now are doing speeches instead of just the groom's father and best man. So you're looking at the bride is even getting herself involved, writing her own vows, writing her own speeches, saying what she needs to say, and implementing if the maid of honor and bridesmaid allowing them to make speeches. Usually, bridal party, best man, maid of honor, etc. So, will it stand a test of time? I'd say so. I'd say so. If, you know, marriage counseling, get the kinks in the way, out of the way. Yeah, finding new ways to implement fun, funky, sort of vibey, good energy. Yeah, I'd say so.
All right, there you go. So you're saying that marriage traditions won't stand the test of time or will?
They will.
They will. There you go. All right. All right. So this is my answer. Based around the evidence of our present day, the wedding day slash the marriage throughout all cultures, I think it still generally looks the same. As it has for hundreds of years. Apart from a few changes here and there, for many countries, religion plays a big part in these traditions and customs based around the marriage and the wedding that are sacred, and therefore they have stood the test of time. Western marriages are no different from this in aspects. It's still largely popular and accepted that a bride wears a white gown, walks down the aisle to meet the groom, throws the bouquet, etc. Apart from it maybe being less conservative than it was, let's say, hundreds and thousands of years ago, the um, sorry, this is still okay. So this is still accepted as the norm, showing that time, in fact, stood still and has held on to these customs and traditions of our past in the human evolution. So yes, I do think they will stand the test of time. There's already evidence based around the fact that they have. Yeah.
I think you mentioned something about white dresses. Now, I've got to think, right? Modern brides are now ditching, we're seeing less and less and less brides wearing the custom white, off white, creamy champagne color. Modern brides now are going into the vibrant hot pinks and purples and blues and sort of the bright wedding colors. Like we are ditching the innocent, pure white thing because it's more dangerous. It's more sort of, yeah, daredevil, if you ask me, to walk down the aisle in a hot pink wedding dress or a
It's
hot blue.
it's definitely progressive. I'll give it that.
I think it's very important. Also, the other thing I'm looking at is unplugged weddings. Like we're removing old customs, which is technically there's a videographer, there's a photographer, they film the whole thing, edit it, put it together. Now, most brides are having friends and family who are attending using their phones to record the whole thing, taking photos of said brides and grooms, of themselves, and going on social media and doing a whole live and unplugged. Usually the place will say, please don't, use photography or videography, don't interrupt, but it's sort of becoming more laid back. You're seeing more and more people are using their phone to high on silent but recording the whole thing and snapping.
Mm.
Are unplugged what here's a question that are unplugged weddings on the way up?
Maybe. Question 2. Would you like to read it out?
Yeah, give me a sec. Let me get to my notes. Question 2. Are old traditions and new traditions creating a new wedding culture?
That's a good question. Old traditions hold such a sacred spot for a lot of cultures surrounding marriage and weddings. Whether it's religious traditions, cultural, spiritual, they seem to hold a great significance on the wedding day, and they've been practiced for thousands of years. However, progression into the future, mostly surrounding technology and social norms, have introduced some new traditions that I believe as time goes on, they will only get like more popular. And an example of this being a money boat, now being accepted by a large majority in lieu of a gift. You know, traditions have to start somewhere. And in lieu of the future, I do believe that given enough time, a new wedding culture will and probably already has appeared and is existing. It's in the beginning phases right now because you know we're just coming into the year, let's say 2020, and you know the 2020s. It's bringing a lot more freedom in people's spirituality, their bodies, their fashion, their social norms, everything. And weddings have always played a big part in, you know, holding tradition and being the same, and you walk down the aisle and blah blah. But they will eventually change, I believe. I mean, a white dress, as you're saying now, you know, there's a large body of women accepting colorful dresses as their dress, and the norm was a white dress. It's been like that for millennia.
Yeah,
So in saying that, you know, there is things that are already appearing that will start off its own wedding culture eventually. Give it enough years, 50, 100 years, whatever it needs to develop, and people will start taking it on as a new wedding culture.
exactly. You mentioned something about wishing wells. Now, this has been going on for many years, but brides do prefer wishing wells because
I think the
show
bride and groom would. Who doesn't prefer money in this day and age?
exactly. I would prefer it over someone buying me a gift that I may already have or have already received doubles or not triples on the bridal table.
Get 5 blenders.
Yeah, you don't want to put out a registry and go, here, get us this when over 200, 250 people have bought the same thing.
Well, the good thing about a registry is you can only put one item of what, let's say you want 5 forks. Someone can choose to buy you 3 forks and then there'll be 2 left for someone else to buy. That's a good thing about technology at the moment. They've made it so the registry is quite dynamic, but I can imagine how it would have been harder in the you know, prior technology time.
I wrote about this and I just today saw a video this morning on TikTok. Brides and grooms are breaking wedding traditions because they'd rather opt out of their own first dance and give the first dance to a couple who's been married decades and decades and decades. For example, mother and father or grandparents have been married for like 40, 50, 60, 70 years. So newlyweds are opting out of their first dance to make sure their loved ones are getting theirs in. And I did see this morning, which brought tears to my eyes. The other thing is the bouquet throwing.
Mm.
Um, us girls, throw the bouquet. To the single girls, they catch it, they're the next in line to get married. I believe that's also changing because instead of throwing the bouquet, they're handing it over to someone who's been married for such a long time as a memento.
Okay.
You know, that's
I
another
mean, the
tradition.
traditional meaning behind catching the bouquet was whoever caught the bouquet would be married in the next 10 years.
Exactly.
It's very stressful when you catch the bouquet at 9 years old, I'll tell you what. But um, that was the traditional meaning of it. So there you go. I didn't even know that I didn't even know that.
Yeah. The other thing I had was economical weddings, like eco weddings. More brides and grooms are preferring eco weddings to lessen their carbon footprinting
Mm.
on planet Earth.
That seems
which
like an overall life choice too. That wouldn't
yeah,
just be subjected to the wedding day. I don't think, but interesting.
I think eco weddings are beautiful because every girl goes to church, meets the groom, they say their vows. Now more couples or more brides are preferring to have their weddings outside of the church, outside of the building, and open greenery where it's free for
Lovely.
all. And instead of getting a priest, they're getting a celebrant.
Yeah.
Eco weddings, and it's less carbon footprint, which makes it easier. So instead of paying to use the church, you're free to use a beautiful botanic garden, for example.
Yeah.
You know, the only
I
one you're
mean,
paying.
really, at the end of the day, when you think about it, love is about expressing who you are with that person. And not everyone is, expressive in the church. And I get it, It's a commitment to the person on the day. It's not a commitment to the church, it's a commitment to love.
The
Yeah,
other
I
thing
think it's very beautiful.
the other thing that I had was the traditional wedding cake taste testing, like a month before, 2 months before the big day. And brides will go with mother, mother-in-law, grandmother, sister, whatever. Or the bride and groom will go taste it.
Mm,
We've all been to weddings, we've seen it. A 5 to 7 to 10 layer wedding cake. Bride and groom cut the cake, they
never
share it
seen
with
that.
the groom. Now, most couples, and I've seen this happen because when my brother got married about a decade ago, his wife, instead of having, they had a cake, but they more had cupcakes. So it's more like cupcake weddings. So couples are modernizing it, are changing it up in the game by going, okay, so the old custom
Yeah.
tradition, let's get donuts, wedding donuts or
Like
wedding
I
cup.
said, I think because the social norms have changed. I mean, there must have been an ergonomic reason to have those cupcakes, whether it was health reasons, hygiene reasons, maybe she liked cupcakes more. There would have been some sort of reasoning behind it that was, justifying swaying away from that original. And we have to not forget, not everyone has millions of dollars or thousands of dollars for a wedding. Cake testing costs money. And you
Yeah.
have to pay for every person you bring. Let's say you pay $60 for every person. That adds up.
Do you remember the good old days of bonbonnières where you'd go to a wedding?
That's a
It's all,
very yeah, that's a very European thing, a bomboniere.
yeah, we used to have one of my tradition as well, where you have like chocolate covered almonds or
Yeah,
the real
yeah. Yeah,
almond.
Italians have that too. We call it a bomboniere.
Yeah. And this is what I was doing my research. That is now becoming a thing of the past.
Yeah.
What's happening is instead of the bonbonniere, it's a thank you note
Yeah,
being
exactly. I've seen that. You know
very
what
easy.
though? I've noticed that that's only happening in Western countries though, because I've been to a few like Italian weddings, Greek weddings in the past couple of years, and they still have the bomboniere. Those
Yeah,
people who have those parents who experience that still have it, but it's those newer progressive type that I guess they don't want it anymore. It's not people don't want a keepsake, I guess.
yeah. Like I remember this one wedding I went to when I was younger. The bride and groom, and this was like decades ago. Instead of a bonbonniere, their bonbonniere was a picture of them on a CD with music on it, and it had the artists on their CD, their favorite artists, and it was an actual CD with their wedding picture on it.
Oh, that's kind of nice though. If you're going to keep a memento from their wedding, why not keep something with their song, something that you can physically still use?
Yeah,
Mm.
and then the hard candy became candles.
Yeah.
You know, now it's becoming thank you notes, which is really, really, really cute. What's the next question?
All right. Am I reading? This is my question, isn't it? Okay. Question 3, my sister. Does
Ooh,
technology, and this is an interesting question because it's very much tied into a lot of what we've been saying today. Does technology play a part in the evolution of weddings, tradition slash culture?
absolutely. I touched on this already. I think the less carbon footprint, the less videographers, the less photographers, friends and family now are becoming the professionals.
Yeah.
Social media is a buzz when it comes to any kind of celebration, but when it comes to an engagement party, a wedding, a box night, a bachelorette party, social media is where people go for photos. If it's not Facebook, it's Instagram. And Instagram is where it's at for photos instead of TikTok. And I think the way that social media plays a huge part in celebrations because it keeps those photos, and a year later or 5 years later goes, do you remember this day on this date, this month, this year? And it reminds you of those memories that
Yeah,
you
it's a keepsake. You get to keep that forever.
back then we had VHS tapes when people getting married. The videographer would bring the big clinky
The big camera
with a
on the shoulder
yeah.
with the broom mic.
Yeah. And then they'd have to put it out of the tape, put it together, and then
So cute.
now you have your phone, which has like 8 to 10 megapixel, and you can take pro shots, which makes it look like a proper photography photo.
Yeah.
And you can black and white and video. And you can add music to it. You can add audio, you know. I think social media when it comes to technology does play a massive part. Massive. Because it makes you never forget those moments. What do you think?
Right, here we go. So technology has advanced so fast in, let's say, the last 15 to 20 years. I do believe that it's impossible to not incorporate some form of tech at a wedding. And I said that, impossible. The most important equipment, of course, being the camera. The invention of the camera changed everything. I think more progressive weddings, most of the time, if someone's a bit more wealthy, they'll feature some sort of cool technology element into their wedding, whether it's a photo booth. They're very, very popular right now at weddings. Or like a light up dance floor, a fog machine, a the same thing, a disco ball. The list of possibilities of decor that you can have is endless if you have the money and the imagination. However, even for a basic wedding, let's just say a pauper's wedding, a working man's wedding, as I said, I believe the invention of the camera absolutely shook wedding culture. I mean, as you said, and I wrote this down too. I mean, being able to capture a very special once in a lifetime for some opportunity and hold on to that memory forever in paper form gave the wedding day even more special significance and hold on getting that sacred moment captured, therefore placing a tradition based upon technology. Without the camera, a bride might not try as much to make her makeup so perfect, to make everyone look perfect, to make the room look perfect, the food, the cake, everything has to be perfect. And it's nowadays it's all to get that moment, so that in 10-15 years time you look back at it and you say, oh, that's right, I had little diamond hearts on my shoes. I didn't remember that until now. Or oh, look at my mum, she's wearing pink. I forgot she wore pink, and you can recall that, and it's really lovely. Technology has really done, I mean, for the whole world and for life, it's done wonders. But specifically for wedding culture and even just holidays in general, I think it's really done something special in being able to. It's created more of an importance on coming together to create that moment too. You know what I mean? You get excited, you come together. It's not just that. Let's take the group picture. Okay, everyone come in. Everyone looks nice. Everyone's happy. It's a really nice moment.
I think what technology has also done, I mean, let's transition from those really silly cameras that have the camera rolls inside it to going to a
Digital
photo booth or to a place, and you hand in the negatives.
Yeah.
And they sit there and they really look at them. And then they print them out and they put them in, and you buy an album for it. That's the 80s and 90s to now photography, where they give it to you on VHS, to now going on a DVD from a DVD
Yeah.
now to social media, which is
Everything's digital now. I mean, my brother's wedding, they actually didn't get any. I don't think they got any hard copies. It was all put onto a website that they had.
yeah,
You had to log in and you could access it for a certain amount of time, take what pictures you wanted, save them, and then that was it.
yeah.
So yeah,
I think
technology's taken us far.
that to a website to now Facebook to Instagram to Pinterest to whatever.
Yeah.
Our memories will live forever because
Yeah.
it's moved far beyond the 80s and 90s retro era to, oh look, 10 years ago, blah 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 got married. I would say, oh, that I remember that. Oh,
Yeah.
I remember that song. They would, oh yeah, there's that video. You know.
Yeah, exactly. It's accessible at the press of a finger now.
The last question I have in mind is, what's next for wedding or wedding cultures? Is there a new twist on wedding traditions or for wedding
Oh,
traditions moving forward?
this is a really good question. Very much allowed me to use my imagination. Okay, so I wrote, what is next for wedding culture? Let us know what you think in the comments below.
Yeah.
So, weddings are the one part of society that I don't think I ever see them going away. Even in 2,000-3,000 years, I still believe that love will conquer all. Love, there'll always be somebody out there that wants to find their other half and then join with them. From the moment the concept of marriage was created, couples who are in love have flocked to experience the same phenomena. Humans are creatures of habit and will go to great lengths to sell love as magic. Dedicating your entire life to someone in front of a room full of guests and people that you love, it will never diminish. The magic that creates, sitting in a room full of people that you love and showing someone how much you love this person, it's magical. That aspect of marriage comes purely from love and wanting to be one spiritually, with connected with your said love. However, I think in terms of clothing choice, food, venue, itinerary of the day, even the layout of the venue, the layout of the aisle, gifts, the reception, and even the structure of the ceremony will one day, given again 3,000 years, will look completely different, and that will be only because it would make sense. It's what makes sense with the humans that have evolved in that time. Do you know what I mean? So as society progresses, things around us change, altering our morals and our philosophies. Therefore, we change aspects of our lives. Maybe in 2,000 years, they might only work for 3 days out of the week and the rest of the day will be, who knows? There's so many little aspects that can happen in that time. But yeah, I think
I
that's
think
what's next to wedding culture.
the final thing I want to say about that is I think we'll see more brides paying less for invitations while making it themselves.
Yep.
DIY invitation.
One day it'll be all digital. Trust me. They won't even send out paper things anymore.
I think even though no one checks their mailboxes anymore, I think even with digital, you can pay for a cheap alternative for a wedding invitation instead of spending a hell of a lot of money on calligraphy and all
Yep.
these free stuff. And I think also destination weddings will rise again. A lot of brides and grooms will take their families and friends on a holiday, and weddings are like, who would want to go to like Paris or
Well, I
Italy?
mean, one day when the economy is much more stable, I think destination weddings will come back.
Yeah. I think for me, please don't come for me. But I think cliche weddings at the Sydney Opera House and photos at the Sydney Opera House is way overrated.
Mm.
I think, if you're gonna try having photos, try something by the water or somewhere in a garden. I mean, I'm not the type of person that I would want to have my wedding photos at an opera house.
Even do something against the classic tradition here. Why not go and find an art deco wall somewhere and take some photos in front of it?
Yeah.
Go and take some photos at the spot where you first met. Go and
Oh,
find some inspiration based upon your relationship. Maybe one day you know, you've had a fight in this McDonald's here, but you've made up and, you know, you were together ever since. Go take a picture there. It's a lovely incentive to capture that memory and hold on to it and show how far you've come.
What about a mural?
There you go. A mural. Yes, definitely. Beautiful.
There's your new, traditions. Take brighter photos, buy me a mural.
Or even take them to your happy place. All right. If your happy place is your bedroom, you go and take pictures in your bedroom with your future husband. All right. And you love that because that will be everything about you. It'll epitomize. I don't even know the word. It'll show your soul through that picture.
Exactly. See, that's what I think is going to happen. Let us know in the comments below. What are your old customs? You're planning on new traditions? What are new traditions for you? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to us. This has been All Things Wedding. Thank you for watching. I'm Angel Rose.
And I'm Luna. Bye, guys.